This is Wholehearted. Welcome to you. We're on part 11 of the Identity series, and we have been looking at establishing our identity in the last episode. And today we're going to be looking at another key factor in establishing our identity is listening to the Holy Spirit. Let's have a look at John 14 verse 26 in the Amplified Classic. It says, "But the Comforter, the Counselor, Helper, Intercessor, Advocate, Strengthener stand by the Holy Spirit, whom the Father will send in my name, in my place, to represent me and act on my behalf. He will teach you all things, and he will cause you to recall, will remind you of, bring to remembrance everything I have told you." God has given the Holy Spirit to us, our traveling companion, to help us determine where we are going. Now, in previous episode, I did a whole series on the Holy Spirit. So if you missed that, you can definitely go catch the repeats on those. But in Galatians 5 verse 25 in the Amplified Classic, it says, "If we live by the Holy Spirit, let us also walk by the Spirit." If by the Holy Spirit we have our life in God, let us go forward, walking in line, our conduct controlled by the Spirit. You know, the Holy Spirit is like our dance partner. I just love that. He's like our dance partner. He sets the tempo. He leads us with grace and never by force. The Holy Spirit will tell you when to pick up the tempo and when to kind of take bigger steps and when to kind of slow down. He knows the right tempo for your unique journey. If you're going to try and follow somebody else's tempo, you know, somebody else's walk, it might cause you to wear out. That's why we have to follow the Holy Spirit's leading on the tempo for your life. Maybe if you've just, got a newborn baby, your tempo might be a little bit slower compared to somebody who has all their children out the house. That is okay. Allow the Holy Spirit to adjust your tempo at different stages of your life. It's so important. The following the Holy Spirit doesn't mean that we don't use our brains or we throw away our diary or we live by our feelings in any way. We have to follow the Holy Spirit's leading in every part of our lives. Follow that tempo because it's so important. Sometimes we can kind of fall into the comparison trap when we look at somebody who's maybe has their kids out the house or doesn't have children yet, and then we have like 3 and you're like trying to do all these things. Don't ever compare, and remember to follow the Holy Spirit. If we're going to establish our identity, the next thing, if we're going to establish our identity, we have to do this. We've got to prepare for our purpose. I'm going to say that again, prepare for our purpose. In Ephesians 5 verse 15 to 17 in the Amplified Classic, it says, "Look carefully then how you walk, live purposefully and worthily and accurately, not as the unwise and witless, but as wise, sensible, intelligent people, making the very most of the time, buying up each opportunity, because the days are evil. Therefore, do not be vague and thoughtless and foolish, but understanding and firmly grasping what the will of the Lord is." Identity is always connected to purpose. If you don't know who you are, you won't know what to prepare for. God will not assign purpose without giving you identity and without giving you the grace to carry it out. So if we're going to establish this identity, we have to follow the Holy Spirit's leading, and we've got to prepare for purpose. Thank you for joining me on this journey. Until next time, God bless and goodbye.